Testing 1, 2.
All set? Welcome, everyone. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda, but just an edit that is reflected in a personnel appointment, that there was an error in the resignation date for a librarian and the start date, so that was adjusted by 1 day. So we're good there, no change, but I just wanted to update you that that was a slight change. And I should note that Mr. John is on his way for the meeting.
Okay, then we need a motion to approve the agenda. Motion by Brad, second by Dale. Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carried. And our presentations?
So at this time, board members and members of the community, I would like to ask Levi to unmute Mr. Longo from the New York State School Boards Association for a presentation and an award. Patrick, thank you for joining us. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me fine?
We can.
All right, thank you. I just want to apologize in advance. This is typically something we do in person, but as with everything, all due to COVID-19, we're doing this virtually. But on behalf of our board of directors and our president, Fred Langstaff, and our executive director, Bob Schneider, I'd like to thank the board of Salamanca City School District for having me present tonight. Just wanted to explain what the award is, what the recognition is. We actually, we have a lot of different services at NISBA, New York State School Boards Association. We try to recognize unique programming, and we have a news service called Eclipse. And if you look at the news services, there's a lot of negative news out there. And we wanted to try to find a way to find positive news stories that put New York State education in a good light. So this recognition is unsolicited. We look for programs that are unique and they're bringing change to the world. So we actually created a program that we call Champions of Change for Kids. And using the criteria, again, of looking for programs that we feel are bringing change to the communities and to the kids and to your programming at your schools, we present this banner for Champions of Change for Kids. And I'm just going to read it to you. Just let me know if you guys can pretty much see that. All right, so it's a Champions of Change for Kids. And on behalf of New York State School Boards Association, we're awarding the recognition banner to Salamanca City School District Board of Education for their STEAM Center of Excellence edition. You just want to give yourselves a round of applause for your great work. And we will be mailing this to your district in the next couple of days. And then if you wish, you could hang this in a place of prominence in your boardroom or somewhere in the district. And if you have any questions about the program, you can contact me and I'd be happy to talk about the program. And again, thank you for having us at your meeting and congratulations on this prestigious recognition. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Patrick. Board members, I should note that this process of adding the STEAM edition goes back to really 2014 when this concept first began, following our proposition that was not successful. And I think some of the individuals in question are STEAM teachers, our administrators, our buildings and grounds personnel, our board members, our central administrative team, Mrs. Magera, Dr. Beeler, certainly our principals of all shapes and sizes in the buildings, our STEAM coaches, our technology staff, our partners with Turner Construction and Hunt, architects, engineers, and land surveyors, have helped to make this possible. But I think the bulk of the praise goes to the community for supporting this capital project back in 2017, I think it was. And we are thrilled to have this recognition. Patrick, thank you very much for joining us. And board members, thank you for allowing us this opportunity to showcase Salamanca schools.
Thank you. We look forward to many more. Thanks so much. And once
Yeah.
again, thank you.
And next, we have our capital project update.
So while we're getting set up, I'd like to introduce our friends from Turner Construction and Hunt. And Matt, I believe we have a new introduction joining the Turner team.
Rich Hopkins, he came to us from, oh, sorry, I forgot about this. He came to us from Houston, Texas, a year ago now?
Yeah, I moved back about a year ago.
From Alden.
Buffalo, New York.
So Rich has been in charge of Jim's roles and responsibilities that he had over at Prospect. So he's been pushing that along on a daily basis, rolling in the dirt, the mud, and I think today you put in kitchen equipment.
Kitchen equipment, cleaned up a lot, put everything in place. Trying to really come together with it.
So Rich Hopsha.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you guys.
It is. We do have one other piece I'd just like to let you know. We are missing part of our team here tonight. I think you notice there's an individual missing. Michelle, we've had to make some changes for her personal family that she needs to leave here at 4:30 to get her girls and be home. So it will be a special occasion when she's here after 4:30. She's still out there in the job every day, but she's got some childcare issues that we're giving her the latitude to go take care of because it's family first. So hopefully you understand. Tonight, it's a lot to talk about and show you for those that haven't seen. Again, Levi, great picture. The drone, best stuff going. You can't explain it any better. When you look at that field, there's a lot there, but that's the aerial footage from the drone. You can see off in the distance the scoreboard. It doesn't do it justice. You got the center field warrior. We'll get into a little bit of that later. And then the concession building, team rooms is in the forefront here. So there's a lot going on. Box lacrosse is being prepped for Stone in the back. And that's what we got from an opener. Levi, is there a, okay. Okay, so with this phase one, we're going to talk about what we have left there, the high school, Seneca, and the bus garage. I won't spend too much time on this. Julian, you want to talk about where we are?
So a couple of the photos that we have here on the bottom right, we're about 98% with the new secure vestibule. A few flooring items remain and trim out, and then that's going to be 100% ready for you guys. Then you see over by the auditorium, just down over here, there's a number of door openings that we widened to 3070 doors for accessibility. That's 100% complete there as well. And then the main scope that we have remaining is the main parking lot out front. If you're able to drive by there, they're wrapping up grading of that parking lot, starting to spread some topsoil. Asphalt's due to start on Thursday so that we're ready for an 8/31 completion of that parking lot for you guys.
And if anyone wants to know what good topsoil smells like, come over to the trailer complex and just hang out for a little bit and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Prospect. I think everybody knows here, this is our challenge. This is where the meat of the labor is to make the commitments that were made from a schedule standpoint. There's a lot of effort going into this facility right now. And Rich, you want to tell us about the library?
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, as you can see, owner definitely moved in some books, and I think we brought a lot of life to the library. We got the great big tree, bringing some colors in. We're working on punch lists, working to complete by the end of this week, trying to get that wrapped up so we can enjoy everything in there. Furniture's in there now, so we're looking to go.
You got the computer room, but again, this space is done. I think the tour after you'll see, leave. Okay. Maybe not. There we go. Sorry, technical difficulties with the touchscreen. So the library is substantially complete. We're rolling through that space. This is where the labor of work is, and I'll let Julian explain some of the things that are going on there.
So the kitchen's definitely been the more challenging area to maintain schedule. So you can see here, we have kitchen equipment that has been moved into the space over the last week or so, and mechanical equipment connections are being made to that. That the DV Brown, the contractor that we're driving out there, we've been holding some managerial meetings with them twice a week, bringing their office members down to walk the job, and we were able to get 17 workers in there last Saturday to keep on that schedule, maintain the equipment connections so that we can wrap that up by Friday in time for our startup of equipment next Monday and Tuesday.
The space that we have, we've set with Rich a plan to clean the building, go through it, and then from a life safety inspection, a fire inspection. So all those dates have been established and set that we're working through right now, so that the first delivery of food that you have coming will be able to be received, put into a piece of equipment that's operational, and then that kitchen, what do you call that individual here in this district that runs your kitchen services? I know they're out. Chef Drew. So that Chef Drew can make the kitchen what it is when you bring students back. So this is, again, a nice new space, a lot like what you see over there. Very well done. Sorry.
So right here, we got the exterior of the building. It's maybe not as colorful as the library tree, but we're working towards it. We're 90% complete on the exterior of the building. If you take a look at the top left picture, we're working to complete the canopy. We got the ceiling left to go, which is happening starting tomorrow and should be finishing up at the end of the week, beginning of next week. One of the pleasures and perks of it is we got the start of the playground going right now. It's bringing some color and some life to the exterior of the building, and we're actually able to cut the grass now. So it's a good process.
Heating and cooling. Everyone's going to enjoy this.
So air conditioning throughout the entire Prospect Elementary. So a couple of the pictures that you see here are areas that we've already given back to Rich to start the cleaning process. A couple classrooms up in D wing, in the hallway in D wing, where if you walked in through there maybe 2-3 weeks ago, there's no ceilings in the place at all. There's a bunch of pipe insulation that needed to be done. That's all done. Ceilings are back in those wings, and we're working our way out of the building. You'll see some of the ceiling grid that's installed and open when we walk over there closer to the front, but everything's progressing nicely through those wings. And then on the top right, you have some ductwork in the main gym there. All the equipment for this heating and cooling is, we have a series of startup dates finalizing on Monday the 24th, so that things are up and running to give you guys that AC by our substantial completion date of 8/31.
There is one piece that we've been struggling with here from an overall standpoint, and it's representative in this picture here. I don't want to get too close and move it, but if you look close at that picture, you'll see that there are no countertops along the exterior wall. Those have been delivered from the supplier to the vendor here locally. We're tracking those. This is something that'll probably come in the last week. As they'll go in, they'll have to go back into the classroom, put the countertop on, and then do a sweep up of the sawdust that comes from cutting the top, putting it in place, and making that a finished piece. Lastly, come on. There we go. The parking lot and the high school roofing. I'm going to give this to Julian and drive this thing a little bit here.
So there's not as much to talk about here with phase 3.1. If you remember at the last update, and a lot of us probably parked back in the new Seneca lot, that's complete back there. But the roofing project, all your rubber membrane that covers that whole new roof, that's 100% complete. They got the edge metal that goes around the perimeter. That's about 75% complete. That's going to be wrapped up over the next week or so, most likely ahead of that 9/18 substantial completion date that we have for that phase.
This, I think, is where most of the eye candy comes from. When you look at facilities around Western New York, Jeff, you've done a bunch across the state. This Vets Park piece is really something to be proud of. I don't know which is bigger, the center field logo or the scoreboard, but I'll let you decide. Some of the things that were taken into account when this was designed is you guys picked that custom color. I don't know, Bob, if you've announced the name of it yet. Oh, thanks, Levi. Sorry. I keep forgetting about the people on TV. I apologize. That custom color. So when you look at that logo, don't be alarmed that it's not fully complete. Julian has some information as when that's coming. And then briefly, if you were up close, you could see what we call a ghost line. So when you're sitting in the bleachers, you won't see the yard lines run through the feather, the face, or the ponytail, because there's only a small piece of carpet that offsets the color. So when you're on the field, the linesman or whoever's reffing that game will be able to see the line of play, but from the seats, it will appear as a complete logo, where the heavy white line doesn't pass through. You may be able to pick it up, the difference between the ring and then the hash marks. That's really what we're talking about, to allow the center field warrior really to appear pure on the center of the field. Julian, you want to give the highlights?
So a lot of good progress since the last board meeting. All the rubber, except for around that warrior in the center there, has been laid. Walking across that, it feels really, really, really nice on the feet. It's real soft. It's good. The scoreboard was placed. That actually completed all the scoreboards that are up there. Only shot clocks remain as we get rolling into the box lacrosse fields. We got the backstop up for baseball. Building C block is mostly up, and structural steel actually showed up on Monday to start progressing that a little more and get a roof on building B as well.
What's building C and building B?
So building B is your longer team room, gang bathrooms, concession for the multi-purpose field, and then building C here is the press box just behind the backstop. The scoreboard placement, I don't know if some of you guys here, I know Bob was out there looking at it when they were assembling it. There's two pieces to that video board, and you stand next to one of those pieces and it's still towering over the top of you. That thing is big. It was bringing me back to RPI Division III school that they put together a big stadium right when I got there, and that scoreboard's bigger than that one for sure. Absolutely.
I've asked Mark, Jeff, you could fill in on this as well. I've asked Mark McAllister at Total Sports to verify that for sure. I know I put it out there that it is. From my opinion of 20 years and what I've put in and what we've put in at Turner in 160 districts across New York State, it's the biggest one we've put in. And you could see it from the supermarket. I walked out the day they were doing, I bought lunch, I walked out and I just kind of stopped and went, oh my, you could see it from here. I know when you turn the corner and head up towards exiting campus, you can see it down the road. It's clear. So I think if your intent is to do some fun Friday in the park things or whatever you're going to do as a community with that in the summertime to get use out of it, you'll be able to see whatever it is you're going to put up there. That concludes our presentation for tonight. We just wanted to give you the updates of what we got left, where we're going, kind of keep it short and brief. Any questions?
So A-Turf came in. We got an early jump on that multi-purpose field. Got them in with that. They left for 3 weeks to go to another kind of similar field. Definitely not as big of a logo as this, I'm sure. And then they're going to be back the August 31st, that first week of September, to get rolling on the baseball field, progress that, and then finish with the two blocks of cross fields and the batting cages.
Levi, who's this?
I have a question, but it's for Hunt. You had a meeting, you, Bob, well, I don't know if you were on the call, Jeff, but Chris Bond was on it. I think Dean, who else, Bob?
Dan.
Okay, was on the call, and they were supposed to get back to us. Well, they were supposed to get back to me with a response on some questions I had about the change orders. And I still haven't heard anything, and that was a month ago. So I don't know what timeliness is to you guys, but a month seems to be a little bit long for me. So I'm wondering if you can give me an update. especially about the redraw plans for Prospect. We're still waiting on those. You know, I thought we'd at least have something by now. So again, if the intention was to make us feel like we're a priority, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that I don't feel that way at all. And my level of frustration is probably keeps growing and growing and growing. So I'm wondering, you know, are we important to you guys or are we not? Because I certainly don't feel like we are when I've had to wait for over a month for a simple phone call back. So if you could answer that, I would.
Yeah, I can. And to answer your question, yes, you're very important, and there's been a lot of work going on behind the scenes, and I'm sorry that you haven't been part of that. We've been assembling all the information about changes and evaluating it, and we have that ready to go. I know Chris has been trading messages with Bob here the last few days to schedule a meeting. Okay. I think it was with your office. He didn't have your cell phone at the time, but okay. Well, we're ready to have a meeting, and his reach out, Bob, was going to be for later this week or next week. I suggested to him that with school starting that to be flexible, and he's absolutely flexible. So because I know you guys got a lot on your plate, so we're ready to go for that meeting, and we've fully assembled all the information so we can speak intelligently about it. And that's ready for Prospect. We've basically been put on hold for that and evaluating if there's anything that can be done differently with the easement or with the utility line. And we have the other design was already designed through schematic level. Actually, I think design development level. And then we switched from it because it was over budget and we had the easement issues. Now we could always go back to that if we can resolve the easement issues. And I know, Bob, you had reached out to Reed's office to get some assistance with that. And we're just kind of in that holding pattern to see if something can happen differently with either a relaxation of the easement requirement or moving the line completely off your property so you don't have the restriction of that easement at all. So that's what we're pursuing, but there's really nothing else to do on that until we get an answer on that from my perspective. Is there something different than you understand about that?
My impression was that there was going to be a couple different options that were going to be worked up. From what we've seen, we weren't happy with it. So, you know, from my perspective, if it's, well, you get this, you know, we're going to connect the buildings, which is what we all wanted. And now we can't. Well, we're just going to add a couple blocks onto the end, you know. Geez, I could have had my daughter to do that. I mean, you know, is there anything extra that, or anything creative, something else that you could have come up with? I don't know. I'm not an architect, but I'm just kind of disappointed that, again, we have to have the same conversation that, you know, we weren't happy with what we got. And it's, well, if the easement doesn't work, you just kind of get what you get, and that's it.
Well,
So,
it didn't happen quite that way. I mean,
but that's how we feel.
I understand. And, you know, it's hard to know exactly what to bring to the board meeting level and whatnot, but we have multiple design ideas of where to put the STEM addition. And ultimately it was determined with the staff to do what we ended up with. But we could resurrect those ideas, but none of them included linking those back wings. And my understanding is that became the ultimate priority, is to make those wings connect. And the only way to really do that adequately is to resolve the power line. So, you know, we could pursue some other ideas, but any of them that we've pursued that makes a connection loses existing space and ends up, you know, demolishing part of the building or renovating part of the building and doesn't really gain you within that budget what you ultimately desire. So we felt, I mean, as a team, that pursuing moving this electric line was probably the best solution to really get what you desire out there, or at least what we've understood you to desire.
Ultimately, that is what we want, is to connect that back wing. But if we can't, then, you know, what else do you have for us besides just putting 2 cubes on the end of a building?
Yeah, we
You
have
know,
several
I
ideas.
mean, that's kind
Yeah.
of, okay, we've got our priority option, but what, if that doesn't work, then what's next? You know, I mean, give us a couple ideas. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are, like I said, you guys are the architects. That's why we pay you.
No, and we
You
have
know,
them. We've done that. We just haven't shared them at this level. They were conceptual design ideas that was part of the design committee that we've shared with, but we can show them to you.
Well, it'd be nice to see something.
Yeah.
Because from my perspective,
So
we're just
I
not
can,
getting anything.
right. Conceptually, we had an idea of if we couldn't connect the back wing, the big idea of that connection was to have ease of getting to the steam space. So we thought, okay, well, let's bring the steam space more to the front of the building where, you know, you have the gym, the library, the main entrance, and the cafeteria as a way that maybe it was more centrally located. So that connection wasn't as great of an idea, or wasn't as necessary, I should say. So we looked at that idea. It still had quite a distance, you know, from one wing to get there. We looked at an idea of being in the center wing, but closer to the library. So we have that idea. We also have an idea of going off the side of the right-hand wing, kind of by the gym, but that was taking up green space, and that wasn't ultimately desired. So I mean, we've pursued several ideas. The most efficient and ultimately what the team felt was getting the most for the value was the addition off the back of each wing. And that's why it went to that level. But now with the concern, you know, we're trying to make that connection and deal with the power line, which is going to take time. You know, we're all worried about how long that'll take, but you know, utility companies move at a snail pace, and you know, we're dealing with a railroad also. And that's why Bob, you know, I think rightfully so, thought it'd be good to contact the politicians and see if they can move it along quicker for us. I can show you some of those ideas. I'll email a packet to Bob and he can circulate it so you can kind of see some of that work we did. Okay.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
We can put that on the 9-1 agenda, which is.
Yeah.
Okay. To be here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I don't see one. And I also, I know at our last finance meeting, you were looking for a rendering of the fence and all that. I do have that, that I could, it's on my computer, but I can share it with Bob and he can maybe, it's a big file.
Okay.
But I have some information on that you know, I think will help you visualize that better.
That would be good. I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Let me just, and I'm just going to throw it out here, but I know we keep talking about going over, but has there ever been any talk about going up? Like
At Prospect?
having a second story? Have we-
Yeah, I mean, Bob has shared that with me a couple times about, you know, the desire to go vertical versus going out, you know, so much. It's always a challenge, you know, because you got to build stairs, and if you're dealing with 4 classrooms and 2 down and 2 up, it's a small second floor for the efficiency of building the stairs and the elevator. So obviously a larger project starts to make it more sense to have 2 stories. But, you know, and the existing building can't support a 2nd floor. So you end up tearing down the structure and rebuilding over it. So from a cost perspective, it's not very affordable, but it can be looked at.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah,
That's all.
yeah.
So you're going to set up a meeting then
Yeah,
for the end of this week, roughly.
yeah, or
For
next
everybody
week,
for-
whatever
for
works for
next
you
week.
guys. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we're ready to go on that.
So who's going to contact us then? You, Jeff, or is it going to be somebody else?
Well, Chris has been trying to reach out, and I'm not sure how that things got crossed on that, but he's all set to reach back out again. I told him I was coming here tonight and would mention it to you in person, but he's the one that you were going to meet with, so I was having
Right.
him coordinate it.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Other questions? Okay, do we have anybody from Title VI here? No, okay. So we can move on to central office message then. Mark, do you want to start? Okay. What about Karen?
What?
Let's mark it down in the book.
The apocalypse is on us.
Okay.
Pretty much the same for me. I'm good.
Okay. Board of Education message. Who wants to start? Anyone? Mag, do you want to start?
Just first, it's good to be back. Miss all of you. And this is me being on the other side of Chris. And then I just wanted to quickly thank someone who probably is not watching this, but Scott Jamansky, who is the elementary school teacher for Troy School District. My sister-in-law works for Troy School District and has this really awesome Facebook frame. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was yelling at people for not having the microphone on when I was on that side. Anyway, so I want to thank Scott Jamansky. He's an elementary school teacher at Troy District in Michigan. And my sister-in-law works there, and she had this really great Facebook frame that said, our team can do virtually anything with the virtual in a Wi-Fi symbol. And I just commented on it, and I said, I want to steal this for our district. And the creator of it, Scott Jamansky, contacted me through Facebook and said, hey, do you want me to make you one for your district? And I had Bob get in touch with him, and within a couple hours, we had one live. So I just thought that was really cool. So just wanted to give him thanks because it looks really good, and want to thank Levi, of course, for getting it out, on social media very quickly. That's it. That's all I have for today.
Thank you. Dale? Okay. Carrie?
I just want to bring up what I bring up every week. Everybody needs to be diligent, vigilant, whatever you want to say, on schoolwork, learning opportunities, anything else that comes to mind. As we approach our upcoming school year, it's going to be difficult. We're going to have a lot of remote learners, and we're going to have a lot of difficulties with that process, as we already know from the spring. So we're asking everybody, all the parents, our staff members, just give that little extra to help in these next couple of weeks to prepare our kids, prepare everybody for the trials and tribulations that are coming. It's not going to be easy. We already know that. And even on my other role as working with the Seneca Nation, we're working with our education departments to bolster our tutoring divisions and everything else that we can possibly do to help this situation. There's a lot at stake here, and we have no idea how long this is going to last. So again, anything you can do, read a book to your kids, get on a learning app, do whatever it is that you can to help. You won't regret it, and it'll only improve their learning for years to come. That's all I got.
Brad? Sue?
In school within the next couple of weeks. It's going to be hard for these kids, I think, especially some that are doing it remote. some kids can do it without any problem, but there's a lot of them that I think are going to get lost. And I hope we can do something to help them.
I agree. Barb?
I want to thank everybody who helped to get us that award. That's really amazing and a special interest of mine, and especially promoting girls and boys to pursue those careers. And then I have a question from on our website. Do we have links to Carrie's point of having the kids get on? Do we have links for things that kids can do different?
We do.
We do, okay.
All along spring.
Okay. So maybe we need to put out a reminder. So, okay.
Are we doing a frequently asked questions type of a?
Yes. So if you go,
So within one click of the front page of our website, so if you enter our website, actually, can we do this on the fly? Yeah. There we go. Let's see. So I'll let Levi start the process here. Within one click, you'll see in the gray section, school reopening plan. That will take you to a page that is pretty much a synopsis of the day's activity. I believe the last time it was updated was last night. So every day that portion of the website is updated. It'll tell you on the left-hand side, current works in progress. So I'll let them get sort of caught up to where we're at right here. So you see district reopening right there in gray. Once you go here, you will find, yes, that's shared. So everybody should be able to see this. So you will see that this was last updated August 17th. On the left-hand side, you'll see where our current plan is, where you can provide feedback on that. You will see current works in progress. So I guess I can give a quick update. As of yesterday and today, we were contacting the remaining families who had not indicated their educational preference of hybrid or e-learning. The principals were working with that information as of this afternoon. We have teacher, student, and parent committees that are developing expectations for e-learning. And tomorrow morning at noon, we are meeting with Mr. Finch from the bus garage to start to establish what the bus runs are based on the parents' feedback indicating which students will be returning. On the left-hand side, you'll see future work that's happening. You'll see basically sort of our philosophy. You see, just as you had indicated, where are the frequently asked questions. So there are the first series of questions. My personal phone number is there, and I put that out every time we have a meeting. Thanks a lot, Levi. That's it. If there's a question, a concern from a parent, just give me a call. I couldn't be much more accessible. And then you'll see the frequently asked questions. There we go. All right. Then you'll see the frequently asked questions, and these are questions that have been asked in our 2 public sessions. It's not currently up to date simply because I've just got to type more. But the vast majority of questions that have been asked on both the 13th, particularly the 13th, are there, so you can keep scrolling down. Anything that people have asked has been posted here. I'll just put a little plug in. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. is our next parent or community member forum. That can be located actually on that previous webpage. The link to the Zoom is there as well. So on the 13th, we had one at 1 o'clock. Yesterday, we had one at 4 o'clock, and tomorrow we will have one at 7 o'clock. And then there's a staff one for our staff members. That is for staff exclusively at 1 p.m. tomorrow. And the link has been distributed to our staff members for that.
So are you the only
one that's answering the questions, or is there like a whole host of, they call the principals if they want to call the principals? They can-
Absolutely. I can't take credit for answering all the questions. When we have the public forum, we have all of our district representatives there, building leaders, all of our principals, and our department heads. Honestly, Bob and I answer most of the questions that we're able to, but if it's a specific question for a building, such as what the schedule will look like, what the student expectations are, then the building principals answer those.
Okay.
So for those of you that might not have heard that, you can also find both of those recorded public sessions that are located on the website as well. If you go to menu, reopening plan, you'll find additional detailed information. On the left-hand side are all sorts of links, COVID related, and then there are the actual recordings of the opening of the forums.
So can you just give me a quick summary of when each of the buildings, what their plan just looks like, just quick?
Absolutely.
Just a real high level view.
You got it.
Thank
So you said just quick 3 times. So yes. All right. So
20-minute presentation with footnotes.
it basically boils down to the following. For grades 6 and above, we're focusing on e-learning and bringing students in at that level as they identify themselves or their parents say, my son or daughter or my student is struggling. Our focus, we believe e-learning is going to be a critical component moving forward, whether it be what we end up exclusively for whatever reason, whether it be we need to shut down for a short amount of time. So that just needs to be established so that it's not something that we need to take 4 days to start. So that's going to be sort of basically running in the background at all points in time. We have found in the spring that the students were pretty successful with that at the second level. So we're going to quickly transition to that if we need to. For our younger students, the first week of school, teachers will be in school. They'll be identifying what the systems are that we have in place to make sure we have a safe environment for them. The second week of school, each one of the grade levels will have an orientation where they can actually come to school with their parent so they can see, walk through, so that isn't a position where they just simply come to school and this is all new and they're uncomfortable. But the goal for that grade levels, for grades 5 and under, is to bring them on campus at least 2 days a week. Then we'll assess to see how that's going, and if we can increase the number of days that they're on campus, we will do so. But for all of the parents, if they wish to have a 100% e-learning, we will provide that opportunity for them as well.
High school, if 6 and above want a hybrid, what is that going to look like for them?
Great. So for the 6 through 12 students, that hybrid is going to look a little bit different. At this point in time, we don't have a half the students come Monday, Tuesday, or every other day system in place. It's honestly going to be completely customized. So let's say I have a son who is doing fine through e-learning, except math, he is not doing well on at all. We will go and get him. We'll work out with the parents and him to say, hey, listen, your son is struggling with math. We have teachers on campus. We'd like to have him come on campus, and that may be 2 days a week, 3 days a week, to work with a math teacher so that he can be solid with that. If he is not doing so, in the spring, there were students who just sort of were AWOL, right? They didn't come to any Zoom classes, they disappeared. That's not going to happen in the fall. We will go out and get them. So if there are students who are not performing to expectations, we will sort of scale up our on-campus instructional delivery based upon what their needs are. So we're looking at really a totally customized instructional approach, particularly for the 6 through 12 students.
That's all I had, just the inquiry. Bob?
Just a couple of quick updates. COVID aside, today was the first day of New Teacher Academy. We welcomed our newest warriors. Today they learned about our district, Seneca language, Seneca culture, Seneca history. Thank you to our Native American program coordinator, Michelle Redeye, and Seneca language teacher, Rachel Wolf. They learned about safety from Dr. Beeler and myself, as well as they had a presentation from our school resource officers. And over the next 2 days, I'll move into some real critical conversations and settle into their new Salamanca homes within their respective buildings and classrooms. Tomorrow is a day with some time with their mentors, and it's going to be a busy day. Moving on over to Prospect, and we'll see later this evening as we tour Prospect. For those members in the audience, we will adjourn the meeting here at the Seneca Multipurpose Room, travel over to Prospect Elementary School to see the building and a tour, and then we will enter into executive session for some legal matters. We will, as Dr. Beeler said, hold a parent reopening forum tomorrow and our staff forum also tomorrow. It does seem a little odd in comparison to what's happening in some other districts because we have been engaging our staff and community throughout this crisis. But I should note that on our first call, we had over 220 different users on the parent meeting, and the meeting yesterday had over 120 different users. So that's approximately 340 separate users in our community. So I want to thank our administrators, our tech department, Levi. The list is just monumental as we continue to strive to get it right, to open safely, and keep our focus in on safety, wellness, and instruction. Our staff will report next week on August 26th at 9 a.m. for opening comments. It will look different. We will be socially distanced. We will be in small settings, practicing all of the protocols that we have been working on and implementing. Our opening presentation will be via Zoom. Board members, if you would like to join us to say hello and to provide some comments, just please let me know when we'll get you dialed into those meetings. As I had previously noted, our welcome back picnics are postponed, not canceled, postponed. We shall return, and we will have something as soon as it is safe to do so. Just a couple of quick items. Matt Sikora and I did meet last week with the Seneca Nation regarding imminent roundabouts on Broad Street, and that will be coming soon to Broad Street near you sometime next year in 2021. We also, I would like to draw the community's attention, the board's attention, that last week we had our Indigenous Education Committee meeting. Thanks to Meg and Carrie, Michelle, Mark, Janet, and myself for joining with the district and meeting with the Seneca Nation Education Department. I do want to note that in section 9 of tonight's agenda are the minutes for that, and in keeping with our Indigenous Indian policy and procedures, this is our first entry this year of a request coming in a formal fashion for us to continue to work with the nation on hiring individuals that have both an Indigenous background and experiences. And tonight we are hiring 2 Seneca Nation enrolled members and 1 local resident. So I think that's pretty good. We have 3 personnel appointments, and we're 3 for 3 for local and 2 Indigenous individuals. So I do want to thank the interview committees for helping us do that, and also for Nancy Williams at the Seneca Nation for continuing to help us by participating in those interview committees. And lastly, and as Carrie had mentioned about the need for families and community members and children to keep learning and keep reading and to keep their skills up, I want to continue that sentiment for our staff, and particularly for our collective bargaining associations, the SASA representing the school administrators, the Salamanca Teachers Association representing our professional certificated staff, and our 2 civil service associations, CSU and SSSO, for all of our civil service employees, and for our confidential, managerial, and district office staff. To simply put it, I am humbled and honored by their eager and active participation in our reopening discussions. They have made our plan better. They have made our plan safer. They have kept us focused on wellness, safety, and learning. And as we approach the start of the staff year next week and the students the following week on September 1st, I just want to thank everyone for keeping us focused on the importance of being one warrior nation. I can't thank you enough, and I'll just simply keep saying thank you.
We need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion by questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. Item 7 under A, under our new business is our tax warrant. So we need a motion to approve the tax warrant in the amount of $249,000. Motion by Barb, second by Sue. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carried. And we need everybody to sign that. Is that correct, Janet? So please make sure I'll sign that before we go over to Prospect. And our contracted transportation to St. Mary's School for the Deaf. So motion to approve the all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carried. One of my favorites, item C, is a motion to approve all of the orders and allowance disbursement authorizations. Motion by Dale. Second by Carrie. Are there any questions?
I'd like a summary as soon as possible about the amount of change orders that we've received to date. Not just this broken down list. I want to see a complete summary of where we are.
Get that to you ASAP.
We're going to produce that by category that we have in the finance committee off to the side when you say summary. So we can do by building, by category, by contractor, all the above, I'm assuming.
All the above.
Okay.
Thanks, Pat.
Okay, then we have a motion by Dale, second by Carrie. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carried. And then item D is need a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement. Motion by Carrie, second by Megan. Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion carried. And then item 8 is our personnel consent. So we need to approve our consent agenda. Motion by Carrie, second by Sue. Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. Are we going to introduce now?
We have,
Or are we gonna do-
another personnel item. For
And
the
then we're gonna-
equity. Yep, but we do have one of the,
I just didn't know if you wanted to do them all together at the end.
let's do them all at
Okay.
once.
And item C is our new Chief Equity and Diversity Officer. So we need a motion to approve the Chief Equity and Diversity Officer and independent contract. Motion by Carrie. Second by Brad. Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? One abstention? Motion carried. All right, let's introduce some
So
people.
we have two of the individuals joining us, but I do want to recognize the third person who wasn't able to join us because of a schedule issue. our new counselor for Native American students in accordance with our Native American tuition contract, New York State tuition contract with New York State, Chanda Gray. And for those who've been around long enough, Chanda was actually a school counselor with us a number of years ago. And we have a future warrior joining us, so that's great. And I think that Chanda coming back to us represents a great connection to the Salamanca past and the history that we have as a district. Chanda has a wealth of experiences in school counseling, particularly with some of our younger students, but is very integrated and connected with the Seneca Nation and the Education Department as a past director of the Education Department. So it's my pleasure to introduce Chanda Gray as our school counselor serving our Native American students at Salamanca High School. And Chanda's not with us. While our equity officer is tending to other important responsibilities, Tammy Levine is on the agenda as well. Tammy has been with us for a few years, serving in a multitude of capacities, and most recently is currently, as of today, but soon to change, a teaching assistant at Seneca Intermediate School. And Tammy will be moving into a long-term sub position within special ed. Tammy is nearly done and completed with her teacher certification for special education. In addition to her previous positions in the Seneca Library, as well as an elementary position. Tammy is a local resident, and we are delighted to have Tammy transition into this really important special education position. So Tammy, welcome aboard. And I know our equity officer is tending to really important things, but it's my distinct pleasure to introduce Justin Schaap, who just went widescreen on us. Justin is our equity officer, chief equity and diversity officer. This is a brand new position for the district, and I think that it couldn't come at a more timely point in our history as a school district, a community, and a country. Justin is exceptionally talented, has a wealth of experiences, is a local resident, and his experiences in both policy, procedures, law, lobbying, community relations. I think Justin will be an incredible asset to the district. And I did forewarn him that our appreciation for his efforts is not reflected in the office that he is going to be taking, because we are very tight for space, but he can have my office anytime he needs it. And it's my pleasure to introduce Justin Schaap as our Chief Equity and Diversity Officer, and to thank the committee for all of their hard work and rigor in putting the candidates, including Justin, through the ringer. So Justin, welcome aboard.
Well, thanks for having me. I look forward to contributing to the school district and just giving back to a district that's given me so much.
Thank you. And I forgot to mention that Justin is also an alumni. Yeah. And we may have just found a lacrosse coach, but I don't want to put any pressure.
Oh, no.
That's in the contract and other duties assigned.
Yeah, wherever
Thanks,
I can.
Justin.
Yeah, no. I got to go grab a baby.
Congratulations to everyone. And with that, we have our board information, reports and discussions, and our upcoming events. And now we are going to take our tour to Prospect.
We are going to adjourn for the tour of Prospect and then enter executive session following for legal matters. We will not be returning for action this evening. Correct? Correct. Okay, that's correct.